he is. But hopefully tonight we'll be able to get to know him a little bit better, and also be able to not really, walk in his path, but more get to know, what difficulties he had to overcome. Maybe one of us, or it might impact us in a way to we can apply that to what we got going on now, or had something in the back, or give the knowledge on to somebody who might have not been able to make it tonight. So hey man, I appreciate you for coming through. And here you go, man.
Oh, okay. Wait,
Yeah.
so
So
I have
basically, there you go, brother.
to do this.
So I'll
Yeah, don't leave
here,
me,
let me.
man. Don't leave me up here
Nah,
by
nah, I ain't
myself.
gonna leave you, man. So here, let me make sure.
Okay.
Hold on,
You
I'll be right
got
back.
it.
Hold on.
Okay.
You can do it, Bobby.
All right. So
You got this.
usually what we usually do on this, and I think go ahead and do a mic check. Let's do a mic check, man. Yeah.
No,
There you
just
go.
playing. Yeah, how you doing? Check,
There
check.
you go. So we're all good, man. In here is all scripting. You know what I mean? It's a little different out there in the physical world. It's, somebody, does the mic, but it works in the same way if you really think about it. Somebody had to make this.
Yeah, no, this is. I mean, once again, I'm still getting acclimated with the space, but I feel this is. I'm still blown away every time I come in here. It's something new. I'm learning, and I'm blown away by what technology can do. So yeah,
For sure, man. For sure, for sure. And as you continue growing and going through the community, I know you'll see a lot more that is going to blow your mind as far as human interaction in here. If you haven't yet, I know like I said, if you guys didn't know, um, we got to hang out with Mims at Bass Drop Radio last week, and I know then you
dope.
got to see a lot of the community come out, and a lot of the community kind of, show you what this is all about. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, shout out to the people over at Bass Drop Radio. I mean, it's actually gone beyond me coming out to that event, but I mean, honestly, I'm starting to kind of feel like these are people I've known for a long time. And I mean, obviously not met in I don't even know what to call it, but like IRL is what they say. But just seeing people's personas and personalities in here, it just reminds me that you can connect with people. I mean, no different than your Instagrams or your Facebooks or any of those social apps, except in here I feel like it's a lot more personable, and you can really have some really great conversations, probably like the one we're about to have now.
Yeah, for sure, man. For sure. Just like the one we're about to have now, and hopefully, we'll be able to interact with the crowd on this one. So
For
I'll be
sure.
I'll be honest with you, man. Usually when we do motivational Mondays, I allow the speaker to come up here and kind of speak about themselves a little bit,
Mhm.
and kind of talk about a difficulty in their time. But I've been wanting to add a little bit more of aspect, and this gives me a great opportunity to do that, to be able to add another speaker on there. This time will be
Dope.
myself, and hopefully I'll have two other speakers next time, and then hopefully we'll be able to welcome you back another day. You know what I mean? And be able to have you
Good.
again.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here for sure.
So I do want to start like this, man. I know, as always, Mims, everybody knows who Mims is, and if you don't know, then man, I don't know where the hell you've been living at. But I want to get a little bit further than that, man. As far as before, Mims, before the hit, before any of that
Yeah.
stuff, before, I guess, before the supporting was the given. You get what I'm saying? Before
Yeah.
it was a benefit for others to see, hey, I do want to support Mims. I want to know that person. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
a difficulty, or maybe something that you can let us know that, and how you overcame that, man.
Well, one, I want to, I guess, start over a little bit. I will say this.
Mhm.
I've had some really great success as a musician a long time ago. I like to say it's a long time ago because we're talking about over 15 years, and time is actually flying so fast that I realize some people I meet, they're like in their 20s, and then when I have to ask them about if I have to ask if they know my music, because I realized that maybe they were like 5, 6 years old when my songs came out. So I don't definitely think that I'm known by everyone. So for those who don't know me, and for those who are a little younger, I'm a professional musician.
Yes.
Went from turned into a, I would like to say a tech entrepreneur or entrepreneur, more
Mhm.
or less. And yeah, I mean, trials and tribulations. I have a bunch, man. So I mean, I don't know where to start, and I don't want to bore a bunch of people, but I, my stories, my story can be pretty interesting from my childhood till now. Um, I think the most pivotal time in my childhood was experiencing the death of both my parents at a young
Of
age.
course. Mhm.
My father, who didn't traditionally raise me, my mother actually raised me, single parent mom, but he passed away when I was around 11 years old, and my mother went on to pass away when I was 13 years old. And I'll say this, and I don't want to make this like a psychology session, but
No.
um growing up with a really strong parental figure, like a really strong figure like my mother, and I never really felt the lack of not having a father figure around until my mother passed away. And then I realized that wow, like having no parental figures around, even though my father didn't raise me, it really affected my life. And there was a point in my life where I could have taken a different path from the one that I actually decided to take.
Man. And what during that time made you take just like a little
Yeah,
insight. What made you, because I know you got to a time where there had to have been, hey man, you got to take pick a choice or it's not going to
yeah.
be, it's going to be
So
beneficial to you.
I'm gonna tell a story that I tell people, and it's gonna sound, it's not fabricated at all. This is like an actual factual story. My one encounter of remembering meeting my father, I probably was around 9 years old. And my father lived 2 blocks away from me, by the way. I grew up in a place in New York City called Washington Heights. And I lived on 164th Street. My father lived on 161st Street. So you're talking about 3 blocks. I mean, not even
Yeah.
maybe a 5-minute walk. But the one encounter that I remember having with my father, my mother brought me over and to visit him at the time. And I remember walking in his apartment and I saw these two turntables and a mixer. I didn't know what it was when I was 9 years old, but I saw it at the
Mm.
time, and I remember tugging on my mother's jacket, saying, "Hey, what is that?" Like, me being shy, I didn't want to interact with my father because I didn't really have a relationship with him. But me
Yeah,
being
you didn't know.
shy, it just, I really just wanted to question what that was. So fast forward 2 years later, my father passes away, and I'm around 11 years old, and I remember begging,
Wow.
my mother, to buy me some turntables. I didn't know what they did. I didn't know what the functionality was. I didn't know what they were for, but I just remember begging and begging. And it wasn't until my 13th birthday, which was in March, that my mother actually bought it as a birthday present.
Yeah.
And in May of that same year, she ended up passing away. Um, so
Wow.
so the irony is that this is like the final gift that my mother gave me, and I
Yeah.
mean, obviously, physically speaking, not metaphorically
Of
speaking,
course.
but
Yeah. Of course. Of course.
um, so I just dove into, like, that was like my refuge. That became my place to go for peace, just playing music. And when you're a DJ, and I didn't have, and for those who know DJ equipment, usually you have Technique. That was the real professional
Re-
turntable.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
and I had two Gemini turntables. They were belt driven, and those are not professional. You can't scratch on them. You can't, you could barely touch the record without it skipping and jumping. And I remember a local DJ in my neighborhood came in, and he kind of like rigged my turntables up, and he put quarters on the needles. He put paper towel under the
The
arm,
works,
and
man.
yeah,
The
and he
street
said, if
repairman.
there you go. And his
Upgrade.
words to me, and I remember it till this day, was, if you could learn to master these, you could learn to master anything.
Yeah, that's
If
true.
you could make this
That's
work.
true.
And I spent the whole summer trying to learn how to blend music and make it work. Now, I'm not gonna lie and say that I was good at it, but what
Mhm.
it did was it introduced me into the sound of music and the art of music and trying to understand how music gets made. And I think I was around 15 years old when I was able to purchase a computer. This is a long time ago, so computers
Yeah.
were brand new,
No.
very expensive, and I had I was able to learn how to sequence music, like make
Oh wow.
instrumentals and beats. Um, and what I realized is that from the time of my mother passing all the way till I was about 23, my starving artist period, I
Mhm.
was really just interested in making music just to get away. It was a getaway for me. It was never about being a musician. It was never about making, money off of it. So that was my
Yeah, it was
that's a
something
piece of
objective.
my
Yeah.
childhood story that I feel like I like to share with people because I can't, I don't want to put myself in anyone else's shoes, but it doesn't get much rougher than that as a child, right? Losing both your
No, for
parents
sure.
and as a young man trying to figure out how to make their way. So that was my
Yeah, for
childhood
sure.
in a nutshell.
For sure, for sure. And even if it is something that they, somebody wouldn't be able to relate to, at least they know it's a big loss in the aspect that it is an overcoming something. And I
Yeah.
wanna I wanna kind of highlight something. You spoke about how you had to kind of rig up, the whole DJ set, right? And
Hmm.
that's great that you say that, because a lot of times I feel like we expect to already have a perfect version of something when we first start off. And I feel like that's why a lot of people give up at first, because
Yeah.
we're sitting here, we're like, man, we see them with this great equipment, and I can't afford that yet, not knowing that a lot of times, artists and people like you start off with, you know, the the more basic stuff, and that's where the fundamentals come from.
I've made the most money in my career as a musician with equipment that doesn't even compare to some of the major studios. I
Yeah.
mean, and for those who are artists in here, anyone who's a musician, I started out using Pro Tools. I had a I forgot the name, M box, and I had a Cardinal microphone. It was $100 microphone. The M box was a couple $100, and I had a computer, an old laptop that a relative of mine handed down to me, and that was the setup the same setup that I used to produce the record. This is why I'm hot. So I mean, really, yeah, absolutely correct. I don't know what. Oh, there you go. You don't, you just need to, and this is always going to stick with me what that guy said. If you can master um the equipment that I had, then you could master anything. So now I use that mentality with everything. I don't need the biggest and best.
Yep.
I want to be able to work with what I have and make it work. And if I can do that, then I know that I'm a force to be reckoned with.
Hey, that's actually perfect. I think that that part right there, I always have like a part from, I guess, the speaker, that I want to concentrate for I
Hmm.
guess, the night's motivation. I think that should be it. The fact that you don't have to have, the big, the mighty. If you can master the basic, and like you said, a lot of times, the master being able to master the basic is what makes the biggest money, and you're able
Yeah.
to save a lot of money being able to, know what you're working with. So that's pretty great to bring up. That's pretty great to be able to have for Motivational Monday. I do want to open up something though. Open up for the crowd. Is there anybody in here that I'll say is there anybody in here that has had, I guess, this upcoming week, right? I know we just had Black Friday or Cyber Monday or whatnot, equipment that they are buying for their business, their brand. I just want to, be able to get to know, I guess, what the community is working towards, I guess, this week or next week. Is there any equipment that you guys are keeping an eye out, or we're excited for Black Friday, Cyber Monday, anything like that? Anybody? Anybody? Okay, Brooklyn. What you got, Brooklyn?
Funny enough, funny enough, I've had my eye on a mini set of decks of turntables.
Oh, okay. You see?
Nice.
Uh huh. And I'm looking to see what I can make happen with that, because it would be beneficial for us at Bass Drop. And um I have a love for music, so I would think that maybe I could do something, make something happen.
Hey,
um
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
yeah.
Heck yeah. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Hmm.
You, you know the beauty about technology, right? Is that there's a lot of people out there that are creating products that that you rewind. I mean, even in music, I say like, and I'm like a tech gadget. I'm like a tech fanatic.
For
Um,
sure.
but there's so much technology out here that makes things a lot easier than it would have 25 years ago, 20 years ago. Um, a friend of mine, and they obviously wanted to DJ for a hobby. He called me up and he said, "Hey man, I know you got, because I actually still keep turntables wherever I am, wherever I'm at in
Yeah,
life.
for sure.
Even though I'm not a professional DJ, I always have and I have the premium set now. Like I can afford to buy it, so I
Yeah, you
buy it.
built
But
yourself up.
yeah, but I will say this, there's so many controllers and just things that are being created to make the life of a DJ a lot easier. You have applications like Serato. You have controllers from different companies like Rain and Newmark that are like a fraction of the cost. I mean, I could remember back then spending at least $2,000-3,000 on
Yeah. Oh yeah.
DJ equipment, and now you can literally spend maybe $300 and have you can actually go rock parties out with controllers
Yeah.
that are $200 controllers. So no, for sure times have changed. So
And depending on the customer, the client base, man, you can get away with the most basic. I mean, there's people that are, parties that are not really, a step above, I guess, playing music off of YouTube. And, and I also understand, having a person that does this, either for contracting or wanting to do it, above what they're doing it in the aspect of a hobby. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of stuff. What do you're saying that you do like tech. What do you think about like AI? You making music,
yeah,
when you see things like AI, able to make music, things like that, how can you stay,
yeah,
motivated do you see it as something beneficial? Or do you see it something like, damn, how am I going to go against something, that's
yeah. That's artificial. You know
data,
what? I'm
yeah.
I'm I'm all open for exploring new things and new possibilities. So I would never want to not. I mean, there's obviously art in the creative process, even in technology and creating these type of things. I will say this though, I'm just because of where I come from in life, I'm always going to be a fan of where what the human mind can do artistically. Meaning, if you're an
Mhm.
illustrator, if you're a musician, if you are a painter, if you play any type of instrument, I'm always amazed by that because um you know, it says a lot about a person who kind of, once again, we're talking about in most cases, people do artistic things, and this is something we can actually dive deep into. There are two type of people in this world. There are creative
Mhm.
people and there's conservative people.
Yep.
Um, and most of the times, the creative people who exist, believe it or not, they 95% of them will never be rewarded financially for their creativity. So it takes a lot for a person mentally to commit to being a creative person, knowing that
Yeah.
potentially they'll never earn a decent salary off of what they're doing. And I always like to dive into the mind of a person like that because if you watch closely enough, some of the greatest artists, and it's not just music related, but with everything, they don't necessarily care about the financial part of it. That's
Yep.
secondary to the actual art. So
Yeah.
um I'm a firm believer, like to back to your question, like I respect artificial intelligence. I respect the people who can create things that are future forward, but
Yeah.
but but I'm also gonna be that person that I want to go look at the Mona Lisa in person and look at the detail of it. I want to see a Basquiat painting it with my eyes as well. I don't shun away because I obviously deal with a lot on the NFT side, which is
Of
digital
course. Yeah.
art. So I think digital art is dope as well. But there's something just about watching a human create something that I think is that personally for me I'm gonna always enjoy.
Yeah, for sure, man. I think that's actually a great explanation of it, man. Having the human touch, the creative part. Because at the end of the
Mm,
day, AI is just, data sets being fed into a program,
yep,
So it definitely doesn't it gives a perfect, but it doesn't give a creative aspect of anything. It gives a product made artificially, just like anything else. But
yep.
that is a great look at it for sure.
For sure.
I gotta ask you, right?
Mhm.
Um, how about in the aspect of, it is Motivational Monday. Like I told you, a lot of this is for mental health and also be able
Yeah.
to reach those out. There's programs like Replica, right, that has like an AI friend, or AI, person that have you ever, have you tried any of those programs? And if not, what are your thoughts on that?
I I
Being able to
haven't.
talk to somebody.
I haven't. But my stance on mental health is, I mean, we wake up every day and we see the programming that exists in our lives, and every day we
For
wake
sure.
up. I mean, one of the things, and I'll say this, I want you to teach me about Replica, obviously, so I don't want to divert from that. But
No, for sure, for
one of
sure.
the
Yeah.
one of the things that I'm not big on social media, and the reason why I'm not like really big on posting on social media is because, one, I'm conflicted as a human, right? Like, as a human,
Mm,
as much as I want to sit there and let people into my life, I'm almost sometimes a little afraid to do it for
yeah.
multiple reasons. One of the biggest reasons is that when I look on social media, I feel like everyone's like living this like lap of luxury, and they have everything going for them that's just amazing and beautiful. And yo, listen, I've had great success in my life, and I'm thankful. But sometimes when I wake up, I'm like, yo, I might be a bit depressed, or I might
Yeah.
be a bit angry, or I might just be a bit confused about direction of life. And the worst thing for me to do sometimes is go on social media where I see everyone's like living this amazing
Perfect.
life. So for me, when it comes to anything that can help people out mentally, I'm for it. If
Okay.
someone feels like they have, I mean, I know there's a lot of people out there that suffer,
Hmm.
especially in my community, African American community.
For sure.
I was actually interested in doing, creating an actual documentary, showcasing, asking why most people in the Black and brown communities fail to seek professional help when it comes to like mental illness. And I actually spoke to a psychologist, and
Uh-huh.
the biggest answer that they can give me was pride, right? Because
Yeah.
especially as a Black male, you're raised to be really prideful, and that pride sometimes will get you, put in not the greatest of
Situation. Yeah.
situations. Yeah. So I want to learn about the program you talked about, but mental health for me is obviously a big deal. I wish, I mean, I was I went to a Knick game yesterday, and I had to take the subway
Oh,
from
that's so cool.
Jersey to Madison Square Garden, and the amount of um I don't want to say homeless, because I'm not sure if they're all homeless, but the amount of like, I mean, anybody from New York in here, I'm sure
Oh yeah.
Brooklyn can attest.
Oh
Um, you walk through you walk through the train stations now, and everywhere you turn, someone's having like battling some sort of mental illness. So it's
Yes.
really getting bad out here, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
oh yeah. No, for
Mm-hmm.
sure. I want to, I think it's a lot of big cities, Miami as well. I'm down in Miami. Miami's having an overflow of homeless. I also want to, kind of back up what you're saying about the pride. I'm a veteran. I was in the Marine Corps. I served a couple of years in the Marine Corps. And one of the biggest things,
Thank you, by
when
the
I
way.
got
Thank
out,
you.
I appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
When I got out, I noticed that a lot of the information was lost, right? There wasn't a lot of benefits, that were explained to us. There's a lot of, peers that were coming out and didn't know, what to do. You're getting out and you're kind of being thrown to start over again. And one of the biggest things was a lot of us didn't go to medical because if you went to medical, your platoon, would call you a shitbag or hey, stop being soft, and I know we have veterans in here as well, Ding Dong and a couple others that can attest to this, but that's something that they put mentally in you, stop being soft, you don't need it, go, take a Motrin or take a pill and
Yeah.
go hang out. And now a lot of them can't do claims because what happens is they go do the claims and they're like, well, you have no medical history on it. We can't pay you on something that you've never claimed, you've never,
Yeah.
so it is true. The prideful thing, it is big in there, overall in communities and even within communities, in communities, like even Horizon. I know a lot of us in here, this is a lot of us don't want to, just like social media, don't want to sit here and say, hey, man, I don't know where I'm going with the metaverse, or hey, a lot of us are waiting for big businesses and technology to be open. So it makes us think, oh shit, like, is it me? And I see somebody that's building, and I see their places are getting filled, and maybe I'm doing an event. There's only one or two people there, and
Yeah.
I know it doesn't help people to see this, just like social media. And this is, to me, is going to
Yeah.
continue being an extension of that.
Listen, I would if I sat up here and said I had all the answers, I'd be doing a disservice. I don't
No,
have
for
a
sure.
degree. I don't have a degree in psychology, or I'm no psychiatrist. I myself suffer sometimes from just being lost. I would say, I like to use the word lost. But I will say this, I think as humans, um in order for us to really understand where we're headed, and this is going to sound super cliche, we got to kind of understand where a lot of this stuff comes from.
Yeah.
um I'm going to rewind back to my original story of my life. And when I told you about my father not being around and passing away.
Yeah.
um I remember from like the age of like, I don't know, 11 to when he passed, to even as a man, um, even as a grown man, I think maybe up until probably a 37, I had this like inner resentment, and I couldn't get over why I was always resenting the fact that this man is no longer alive, but I couldn't build a relationship with him. And
Yeah.
I remember, and this is going to sound, actually, actually happened over the pandemic. So even closer than I would say, maybe when I was like 38, 39. One of my aunts who actually passed away as well, she just recently passed away a year ago. She sent me a letter that my father had wrote to her,
Hmm.
explaining, because my father had a problem with substance abuse, in particular drugs.
Yeah.
And this is the reason why he never wanted me around. And you know um and I read the letter, and the letter did something to me. It basically opened up, it allowed me to understand that everyone has a past.
Hmm.
Even though we hold resentment for people, even the guys in your platoon, for some reason, everyone has something they went through that designed them to be a certain way. And
For
then
sure.
maybe that resentment that they built for themselves, their insecurities basically rubbed off on you, to where now you didn't want to seek, professional help, because you felt like, and this is the case for everything in life. This is why I feel like as humans, we carry way too much pride, because we're using situations from our past that we haven't healed from.
Yeah.
Once again, I'm no psychologist, and I don't want
No, for
anyone,
sure.
but I always encourage people, face your insecurities, face what you're insecure about, try to face it head on.
Hmm.
And just like me, maybe you'll find some closure in this situation. And it wasn't until I read that letter that I actually found closure, for that particular situation. So
It
it's
felt like a relief, for sure.
I mean, more, yeah, a relief, but also I almost felt, I would say, sympathetic for my father for the first
Yeah.
time. And I mean, this is a man I never really interact with, but being able to read a letter, that in his letter he was writing to my aunt, saying that the substance has controlled him. He's
Hmm.
tried to seek help, but they won't help him. And this allowed me to have sympathy, to say this is the reason why he wasn't around, and that was a part of my insecurities. And I was able to heal from it, and move past it. So I think easier said than done for a lot of people. And I don't want
Yeah,
to
for sure.
diagnose anyone out there, and I don't want to make it sound like it's easy, but it wasn't until that point in my particular life that I was able to get over that situation, or
Oh,
understand
man.
it at least.
No, for sure, for sure. And that's an incredible situation though to have to overcome, you know what I mean? And the
Yeah.
fact that you were able to do it from that letter, and that came at that time. You know what I mean? You never
Yeah.
know, if the letter would have came any other time, or, maybe you accepted it, or maybe you wouldn't accept it, whatever the letter meant to you. You know what I mean? So it came at the right time and gave you exactly what you needed at the time. So that's good stuff.
Absolutely. Absolutely, for sure.
So I gotta ask you, as far as the music, man,
Mhm.
do you feel? You getting out. I know you said you got out years ago. Do you
Mhm.
feel more of a relief now that you don't feel like, as an artist, you maybe having to having to be more social, having to post more, having to interact with you want to interact, having good and bad days that you have to still go out there and have to put face and do what you're doing. Do you feel did you feel relief right after, or how did you feel as
Yeah.
far as when you left it?
The hardest part of my career was trying to transition into a different space, and trying to
Hmm.
get recognized for transitioning. And I'm gonna say why. You know, as a musician, as a black man, as a young man with money, when you meet people, especially of different races, when they see the type of car you're driving or they see how you're living, their first assumption is usually he's an athlete or an artist. And I used to hate that.
Hmm.
I used to
Yeah.
hate that that I was being judged for what, from a I'm from the outside. They're judging me by a book by its cover, as they say. So
Yeah,
from
for
the
sure.
outside looking in, they're saying, "Oh, I remember going places, and I had a house in Georgia, and I would drive places, and you know, some people would come up to me, hey man, do you play for the Falcons or something, or you play basketball?" And I'm like, no, I would lie. Sometimes I say I'm a doctor or something, and the look on their faces would be blown away. So, um, coming out of music and not knowing exactly what I wanted to do, I
Hmm.
started taking a kindness into technology, and
For sure.
and you know, it wasn't until, I mean, even when you get into tech space, like when I walk around, I mean, and it's no different than any other place. I usually get notarized for my music before I do
Yeah.
obviously anything that I've done on the tech side, and I remember we submitted an application that we did to a thing called TechCrunch Disrupt. So I'm not
Hmm.
sure how many tech fanatics are in here, but TechCrunch Disrupt is like a really huge deal as it relates to startups. And we did this thing called Battlefield, which we ended up winning in 2016,
Oh,
and
nice.
that was such a huge accolade because that's one of the biggest technology platforms out
Conventions,
there,
yeah.
and for them to actually like acknowledge that we had the startup of the year, it gave me that relief to say that I not only was I able to, not to say have success in music, but I'm also able to transition into another field, put put my blood, sweat, and tears into it, and accomplish something. So yeah, I think for me as an artist, the biggest part is just being able to transition from business to business without people always uh bringing it back to the music side or
Yeah,
not
assuming and bring back.
respecting where you're going. Yeah. So
And it's big that you say that because it was a big accomplishment that you won, that you guys were picked to start up on that. But I know that maybe, because I've seen other artists that have, gotten out of doing music and got into tech or gotten into some other investing, you
mhm.
know. I know Waka Flocka's one that's spoken about it. But when that happens, people start speaking about, oh well, he just fell off, or that, he's just his
Yeah,
music's not hitting and whatnot. But it shows there, even though that's a big accomplishment to you, I'm pretty sure that they were still during that time that people were like, man, where is Mims? Or people
yeah,
or press running that, not knowing that that was one of your best times. And probably, when you started making more money, in the aspect of actually making money.
yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, listen, I've gotten it all. I've heard it all from. I remember. I mean, if once again, if you listen to all the blog sites
Hmm.
and everything that's out there, it's a lot of noise. So I remember at one point, people were saying that they saw me, working at Denny's, and it's not to knock anyone. My rebuttal is, so what? Like when people say
Yeah.
things about me in that realm, I'm gonna have really thick skin, man. Like, so I'm one of those guys that's not really affected by the noise. Like if you ever see, I mean, I've had every artist talk about me not in the best of ways sometimes. I've had every blog site try to take a jab at me, and I kind of laugh it off, because I realize that from the inside of the game, it's the WWE, it's wrestling.
Yeah.
From the outside world perspective, it's, oh, did you hear what they said about so and so and so? And it's a lot more gossipy. But on the inside, it's like these are people that I rub shoulders with and I shake hands with, and I started to realize that it's just a game. At the end of the day,
Yeah.
everyone's trying to get their name, their 15 minutes, or their clout, I guess I would say is the right word to use. So um, you got to develop thick skin when it comes to scenarios like that. So I've had every rumor in the world thrown at me, and I think I feel bad for those who can't accept it or can't understand it, the life after music, because it's not the same. You're right. Like the money in music is a way different caliber of money. I can
Yeah,
go on the
for
road
sure.
in a weekend and make $75,000. um and with the technology thing, yes, there's a lot of money in that space as well, but the majority of the time is actually coming out of my pocket, because I'm
Yeah,
actually
for sure.
bootstrapping ideas, and I'm investing in certain things. So, um, but if you approach everything in life based on how much money you're gonna get out of it, I feel like you're already kind of like, doing yourself a disservice.
There you
There's
go.
some, yeah,
That's I gotta hold on. Sorry, I gotta say that, man. I gotta stop. I
yeah.
gotta
Sorry.
stop on that because I want to say before you go that
Mhm.
is go on. That is very important because in here, as you know, Horizon's just starting, as far as it's been, 1, 2 years that people have been here, but a lot of people in here are trying to grow an economy, trying to, grow their brand and whatnot. And sometimes it's hard to get to somebody to let them know, hey, if you're guided by just the money in the beginning, you're not gonna have fun with it. You're not really gonna. It's not gonna be something you're committed to it. You know what I mean? If you're always saying, well, how much money can I get out of this? Instead of looking,
Mhm.
okay, well, how fun is this for me? And then how much money are they paying for this if I'm already doing it as a hobby or something that I love doing. So
Yeah.
it's great that you say that. It's I mean it
It,
definitely hopefully is something that people can take back on that.
so so I'm going to say this. This is probably going to cause a little bit of controversy or whatever, but you see a lot of the stuff that's going on about the black community, the Jewish community, in reference to Kanye,
Hmm.
Kyrie, the things like that. What I realized in life is that you have, once again, you have two type of people. You have creatives and you have conservatives. Conservatives are really great at making money. Those are usually the guys that sit behind the desk, and they're accountants, they're lawyers. They're people who understand that space. Creative
For sure.
people tend not to think that way. If you're super creative, you don't really jump into something saying, "Hey, I want to make a lot of money out of it." Now, there's obviously hybrid people who can do both or bounce between both worlds, and I respect that. However, normally what tends to happen, and you'll notice, is that the creative usually goes into business with the conservative person,
Yeah.
and then the
There you
conservative
go.
person usually makes most of the money, and the creative person is usually left with a lot less of the pot, and then there's always a discrepancy later on. And so listen, and I'll say this, and Steve Jobs died a rich man. Very,
Yep.
very innovative, very, very you know um very, very rich, obviously very, very financially successful. um and I would imagine that he would trade maybe an hour for all the money he ever made. My personal view, right? Anybody else
Yeah.
can think differently. If you want to make money be the ruler of your scenario, that is
Hmm.
fine. I will not judge you. But me personally, I believe time is a lot more important.
Of course.
So time to do the things we love, time to spend with the people we respect, that support us. And that's just my personal view. Now, it sounds crazy because someone will say, "Hey, well, you've made money." Um, but maybe I've been able to make money because it hasn't been my concern,
Yeah.
and I just naturally do what I love, and then when the money comes in, I'm happy, but I don't know. I mean, once again, that's not for everybody. Some people want to die a billionaire. That's
Yeah.
not my goal.
Hey, that's why it's great to have people from different walks of life. Each person has a
Absolutely.
goal, and each goal pushes society in a different way, and it makes us all have industries and economies. Um, before we wrap this up, I do want to see if anybody from the crowd, we'll go through if you guys want to have some questions to ask, as far as motivation or anything like that, or any questions overall, that you guys want to ask. Go ahead and let me know. Anybody at all has any questions? Or anything you guys want to say for today? Any motivation you want to share? Here you go. Oh, hold on. There you go.
What's up, Mims?
What up, Cherry?
Um, I want to ask you, what do you think right now is your biggest motivator? I know that you're in
Ooh,
this new space. Well, not it's not new. You've been doing it's new to us, right? We didn't
yeah.
necessarily know, what was going on and what you've been up to. But what motivates you now that you're in this space?
So I guess the most the quickest answer I could think of is and this changed, right? Two years ago, you would have asked me this question. I would have been like, I just want to create innovative technology that helps people in the music industry, because that was my goal. Whenever I bootstrapped a project or I invested in something, it was mainly to give back to the music industry. And my answer now is my son. And that's probably like, I'm sure everyone's going to agree with me when I say that, because that's the easiest thing to do. But the reality is the truth. The truth is that um I'm 41, and I didn't have children at a younger age. I don't have a bunch of kids running around like a lot of other artists do. No shade thrown at all. um but I know.
Sorry.
um
You know who
so
I'm talking about too, Mims. But okay, go ahead.
listen,
Go ahead.
yeah.
Go ahead.
um but I
Y'all are a
think for
mess.
me, when you talk about my upbringing and we talk about the stories that I told when I initially started as a musician, and not having that father figure, I realized that the most important thing of value for me right now is providing. And it's not about having him walk in my footsteps. It's more about providing what I feel I lacked as a man. And we
Yeah.
talked about it, right? We talked about the pride aspect, and I think now I have the opportunity to teach a young child who's going to become a boy, who will eventually become a man, not to be prideful, not
Mhm.
to worry about what the cliche of the world is, and I think that that's my number one goal in life now, my number one job now. Would I love to like create and do things in the middle of that and in between time? Absolutely. I think being a part of this community and being in here with everyone that I've met so far, um, I really, when I get off of here, like when I take these headsets off, my mind is like, how can I help enhance what's going on in there? And so I mean, two different goals. One is obviously my son and making sure that he's raised as well as I can. And then the other would be to create an actual community or collective that gives the power to the people. I mean, and I hate throwing out those. Whenever I catch myself when I say cliche stuff, I know it sounds crazy. I try to catch myself, but the reality is that when I learned about blockchain technology, and I know the market is hard right now. The one thing I learned that rules is
Crashing.
community.
Yep.
And community to me is probably the most important factor. These companies raise billions of dollars. Um, they've raised billions of dollars and they don't even know what to do with the money half the time, and that's because they don't have the ability to create what you guys do naturally, which is actually come together and create a community of tight-knit people. And this right here to me is the most valuable aspect about Horizons and about everyone that I've met so far, is that whether you know it or not, um, there there's going to be a lot of people who are going to, just like Instagram or Facebook was in the past, there are going to be a lot of people that come in here to really try to um, benefit off of the community.
Yeah. Of course. Oh yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
Dope.
Definitely, man. And it's something that as the community, the more that we work together, the more that we're cohesive, the more we're kind of like a filter, to make sure that
Mhm.
what we do allow in the community is something that is going to benefit the community, not just leech and pull from the community. So that's something
Agreed.
that we, hopefully we continue growing in here. And like we said before, there is times where uncertainty is going to happen, and a lot of times the first mechanism that people do is they kind of pull back. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And I feel like during those times we kind of have to understand each person's position, but at the most understand that we're all working towards a similar goal, or some type of goal that is gonna at the end of the day pay for all of us. So that is awesome, man. That's awesome that for you to bringing that up, man. um I want to ask, man, one last thing. What do you
Hmm.
have coming up, man? What do you have coming up
Um,
that you want to shout out, or what do you have going up, with blockchain? I know you said you're
yeah.
getting into this. What do you have coming up, man? What is
Well, I guess the biggest thing that I'm doing now is I want to create a collective, right? So we talked about that before. My initial goal was to create. I have a I guess an idea or a thing called the Hard Block Cafe, right? I kind of ripped it off of the Hard Rock Cafe, but
yeah, oh, yeah,
and
hard
the
rock.
and the goal for that was to actually like usher in the next 1 million people of color mainly and into crypto, right? And into
Nice.
blockchain technology. My reason for doing that is because I spent a lot of time at the conferences and I was there to evangelize the Bitcoins and the Ethereums when it first started, but I didn't really see a lot of people of color. And we always tend to be the last to the table. And when I say people of color, don't get me wrong, that doesn't mean I'm not inclusive of any other
No,
race of
for sure.
people, because
Yeah.
I am not. I want the world to hold hands and hug. Like I'm not that guy that. But I also I spend a lot of time in underprivileged communities. I spend a lot of time with people who are looking for a way to build and create wealth,
Yeah.
and they don't really have those resources. And I think sometimes a lot of those, for example, I didn't learn how to trade stocks until I was able. Obviously, I was financially able to lose the money, but I threw
Yes.
$4,000 in the stock market and I lost it all. You know,
Yep.
um, and that's how I learned how to trade stock, by losing money. And but I feel like my community lacks the education sometimes to actually get a foot in the game, and I want to be able to educate them enough so that they can do it. That way, when I look around, um, and this is gonna go deeper, and I don't want to like I'm trying to keep it real surface because
No, you're good. I
I don't
mean,
want to
don't
I don't
we
want to
we we
dive in too deep.
we'll
Um,
have, base drop radio, you know what I'm saying? Because, here we do the hour of the motivation, but definitely, man, base drop radio be able to get into a lot of what you're speaking about here, and it's
yeah,
good that you're bringing it up so that way we can definitely reference it
bring
back.
it up. Yeah,
Yeah, on
yeah.
that.
I mean,
Um,
it.
I do, because I know we're getting to 10, man, and I want to make sure. I know
Okay,
we have a couple of events that go after this for a lot of the community. I want to, obviously first and foremost appreciate you for coming through, and taking
thank you.
time to actually come by and speak, and share. Not only just speak but actually share. A lot of times, like you said, people from outside the community do like coming in and kind of leeching off, and you are somebody, you've already been jumped in, so you are somebody that's within in the community and is not leeching off the community. It's crazy to know that you're here in
Yeah.
here speaking, being open about the music business, about how you feel about your life, and not sitting here and trying to sell a dream or trying to sell a course, like celebrities, like you've seen the
Hmm.
FTX scandals, you've seen
Yeah.
things like that, and you speak about communities being big. A lot of times with NFTs or with projects like that, people look at the discords, people look at the communities to see, is this something that I should invest in, or is this something that looks like it's falling apart? And the ones with strong communities usually are the ones that are doing really well. So it's
Hmm.
great to see that you're coming out here and actually meeting and coming through and learning, and hopefully bringing, we're able to mix resources to be able to get to the end goal, which is
Yeah.
helping a great amount of people. you know um
Yeah.
I want to say, as far as you talking about educating, the biggest thing, and this is just my opinion that I'm bringing in, is I feel like, as minorities overall, I feel like it's not just the doing it, or it's the funding of it, the cost of what it takes to learn this stuff. Well, there's some people like you, and I advise as well, and there's other people that do social content, that now social content can be shared, and it saves so much money. YouTube saves so
Hmm.
much money for people that now are starting off and don't have to spend that type of money, and can hopefully be able to start at with some information. So that's awesome.
Yeah, at the end of the day, and I'll leave it here, is that it's all about ownership, right? And when I say ownership, it's not necessarily just individual ownership; it's a
Hmm.
collective, right? So, if you look at some of the most prominent communities in our world, and whatever ecosystem you put them in, they usually have a tight knit community. They usually stick together. They usually make money
Mhm.
together. They celebrate together. They go through trials and tribulations together. I came from a community that was a little bit different, right? So
Yep.
it was a lot more broken up. People argued with each other. We felt like we were I wouldn't say crabs in a barrel, but I come from a lot of communities that have that mentality and have that ideology. And I think the problem with that is that what happens is we never look to build up. We always look to break down. So we always break each other down.
Mm-hmm.
We always break our neighborhoods down. And a lot of the times we don't realize we're doing it because we feel like. And so I give one last example: gentrification. Just a huge
Yeah,
word
for
that's
sure.
been thrown around for the last 5-6 years, but for the communities that we lived in, we were always told that they weren't worth anything, and now some of these communities that have been gentrified are some of the richest places
Winwood.
or zip codes in the country. Winwood,
Yeah. Winwood's one of
Brick,
them. Winwood's
Brickell.
Brickell.
I
Yeah.
mean, yeah. Uh, and I'm sure they're gonna go for a little Haiti and Cuba, a
All
little
that. Yeah.
Cuba. Uh, you know,
La
and
Havana.
then
Yeah,
from
all that. It's
exactly for me, it's Harlem, it's Brooklyn, it's
Williamsburg,
probably the
Brooklyn. Hmm.
yeah, maybe
mhm.
maybe the Bronx. I don't know. The Bronx is a little wild right now, but I'm sure at some point the Bronx will be on that list.
They
And I
coming for
think
them too. Hmm.
I know. So I mean, this is
Hmm.
what we need to start really looking at, is saying, hey man, there's value in our communities. There's value in the individuals in us, and anyone out there. And it's going back to motivation. A lot of
Yeah.
the times people suffer from mental illness because they don't feel like they have any value. And
Mm-hmm.
you
True.
know, I mean, I know it's hard to believe from someone just saying it, but the truth is, we all have value. We just don't
Yes.
know what it is, and that's the hardest part, is discovering what our value is. So if
Yeah,
we
it's a
work
part of
together
life.
as a yeah, if we work together as a community, we can move mountains. Another cliche
Hey.
saying. I'm sorry for all the cliche sayings, guys. Yeah.
Hey, listen, if you guys you're getting it from somebody, you know what I mean, that it knows, you know what I'm saying? If you're hearing it from somebody within that's telling you guys, what the keys to success is simple. I know we that's it, we're thinking like that's it, that's all it takes, but it's really all it takes. It's just staying committed to what, is being advised, being said. And I appreciate you sharing these gems. Like I said, I appreciate you
I'm
for
s-
coming.
I'm sorry. I want to say one thing too. Sorry,
Yeah.
sorry, sorry. I'm gonna keep it short.
No, you're good.
During the pandemic, I opened up a food truck. Um,
Oh,
and mind you, this is not my most financially profitable venture. I opened it up with a group of friends. And what it taught me is the food and service industry, and it's still operating. It's located in Long Island, New York.
nice.
And the reason why I bring this up is that I've learned that we cannot be afraid to build businesses like this in our
Mm,
communities, because these are the ones that we were never told were good at, we needed. It was always about being an entertainer, a musician, a basketball player,
yep.
whatever. And the reality is that I'm learning, like with this food truck. My goal was, let's open up one food truck, and then when it does really well, I'll open up another one. And I think that this is another important aspect about building, and building, being an entrepreneur. It's not being afraid to do the things that no one else wants to do.
To take the
In your
risk, yeah.
community right now is a store that you look and you drive past and you like, "How the hell is a business?" And the
Yep.
reality is that because they understood something that we don't, and they took a chance, and I think we need more of this as well. So
Yeah, and the more that somebody takes the chance, the more it motivates somebody else to take that chance and say, I mean, we think about it in that aspect where we're like, uh, you know, if they can do it, I can do it. You know what I mean? Like you said, and especially when it's a peer, when I have a peer that I'm like, okay, that's somebody that I could definitely, if they can do it, I can do it as well. So it is something that definitely needs to be shown, and that way people can pick it up as a motivation. Do we have any questions? I know I saw a couple people put their hands up earlier. Is there any questions? Try. Okay, let's get. There you go.
Um, so I have autism and everything, but
mhm.
the I can relate with not having a dependent dad until like 2010
Okay.
or 11, because my real dad left in 2009, and
Okay.
and I really struggled with my attitude and hated the world. I
Mhm,
still kind of do, and I kind of wanted to know, how do you get past that and
mhm,
get to, because I've always wanted to be like, music has been an escape for me.
mhm,
And um I don't think I'm very good at it because I'm very self-conscious
mhm.
and kind of break I'm hard on myself. I break myself down a lot just to build myself back up. So
Got it.
I was just wondering what the
Yeah, yeah.
building blocks would be.
Um, Listen. So you said a lot, and obviously, what I hear when you speak, the one thing I'm gonna say is that art is subjective. Um, so always remember this, right? Art is subjective. That means that if there's 8 billion people on this planet, if 799,999,000,000 didn't like your music, but only 900,000, I don't know, my numbers are off, you're still in good shape. You do not need the majority of people to like you. I always say, as a musician, if you can impact one person, you are doing a great job. A lot of the times, once again, we let what the progress of other people are doing confuse us and make us feel like we don't have the ability to be in the same conversation as them. If I felt like this every time I heard someone tell me my music sucked, I wouldn't do it. And then this is prior to me having a hit record, right? This is prior to the hit record. This is before that. This is someone telling me, hey man, maybe you should give it up. And I think um for you, listen, if 90% of the things in your life you don't like meaning you don't like interacting with people, you don't like walking outside,
I don't
and I'm
even like being touched like by people because of my autism and sensory.
good at
So
un,
like it's
understood. What do you like though? You like music, right?
yeah, music, TV, anything to get my mind out of the real world.
do
That's why
do
I'm in VR so much.
do what you like, and don't let anyone tell you any different. Do what you like. Don't switch up, don't change, don't feel away. If the 10% of the stuff you like, then you need to create a world where that's 90% of your time. So
Yes.
spend 90% of your time doing what you like. you know and we live in a world that can easily make us confused about what's real and what's not. And the reality is that when I look on, and I know a lot of people in life that look like they're doing really, really well, and that may not be the case. And I think if you feel like you're not excelling as fast or quickly as them, listen, man, I'm gonna tell you right now, and remember these words: you are in good shape if you're doing what you love. If you're creating music, you are in really good shape, because a lot of people don't have that opportunity just to even do that. So I mean, hopefully some of the words would resonate with you, but 90% of the stuff you hate, get rid of it. The 10% that makes you feel good, make that 90% of your time. If 100% if you could.
Thank you
Yo,
for
that's
the
awesome, man.
advice.
You're very welcome.
That's awesome, man. I appreciate that. That's awesome. Do we have any other questions? Anybody
I,
else?
I was gonna say too, and Fry, you may be a testament to other people who
Mm-hmm.
are also on the spectrum, who might need to utilize VR to help them socialize. You should be an advocate for that, because there may be someone else out there that is not at your level that you can
Yeah.
actually have that conversation with and help them come into the space, man. So you should start
That's something
evangelizing people.
yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah, I have to go, but I did uh think about advocating for autistic people, so I've
For sure.
wanted to do that. So
Do
I
it,
may
man.
really attempt to do it. So thank you for the
Oh,
advice, and I hope.
I don't have
Do you mind if I follow you on here?
Please do. I was gonna say anything I can do to help your you know, help you out. Let me know. I'm gonna
I
follow
can't
you back as
reach.
well.
Man, this is what I'm talking about.
I don't know how.
One. There it is.
Yeah, he'll send you a request. You'll get it on your wrist.
Got
Yep,
it.
I accept.
Thank you, Fry.
Yep, thank you. Have a nice night.
Take it easy. Oh,
Alrighty, y'all. That was awesome. All right, y'all. So I appreciate y'all. I appreciate you for all for coming through and dropping the gems. And I know for sure, I'll have you back, next time, another time, to have you, speak to the community once again and be a more reoccurring voice out here. I know I'll definitely see you more at Bass Drop Radio and within the community, other events going on in here. I appreciate everybody that came out tonight. Like I said, you can be anywhere else, but you guys came here, actually put on the headset and decided to check this out. We had a very special speaker today, and I'm very happy about the whole conversation because, originally when we were speaking about this, the most important part about this is going beyond the music and kind of, showing people that, everything nothing starts perfect, and it's not perfect every single day. Even though you are saying that you've accomplished a lot and you feel like you're in a great place right now, you've shared and let us know that there is times when you do wake up and it's like, man, I do feel, down or whatever situation is going on in your life that you might not be able to control or whatever, still happens just like any other human.
like like any other human for sure, and it, absolutely. I'll say that 100%.
But all right, I appreciate y'all. This is Motivational Mondays. As always, every single Monday we have a guest in here speaking. The days that we don't have a guest, we do networking. Yo, like I said, if you see somebody in here, like you see people in here right now, go ahead and add them. These are common interests people. These are definitely people that you want in your circle. People that are going to motivate you, and make sure that if you see somebody or you yourself within here, outside the community or anywhere that you usually see that are chippy or for whatever reason are acting a different way, you don't have to be weird or nothing about it, but always reach out and ask questions and make sure that you're there for somebody to be able to reach out to you. It's going to be something that sometimes you just need somebody to be able to vent to or talk to, and that might be the difference between being able to clear somebody's mind up. But once again, I appreciate y'all for coming through. Shout out to everybody who made this possible, and makes this possible every single Monday. And hey, man, we out.
Thank you, Leroy. Appreciate
For
it,
sure,
man.
man. For sure.
Oh, wait, where'd you
Oh,
go?
where'd you go?
There you go.
Appreciate you, man. For sure.
No
Um,
doubt.
yo, let's take a picture, man. Y'all want to take a picture?
I was already on it, Leroy.
Yeah, what up, sir?
What's
What?
that? What's that?
That
Yeah.
shit there
Word,
was
word.
so
If you guys are in the
inspiring,
building,
bro.
get back in
I
here
came
with
in
the
late, but
stage
that
at.
shit
Let's
was
take
a
a picture.
nice.
Word.
Let's take a picture, y'all. Let's make sure we include everybody. Like I said, if you guys look around, there is a bunch of doors. Those are all my friends, all my buddies. We're back here. If you're still in here, come and take a picture, y'all.
Everybody in? Everybody in? All right. All right. Y'all ready? All right. 1, 2, 3. Oh, that's the video. Y'all say
It's
what's
a
up
video.
though. What's up
What
though?
up, what up?
Bass Drop Radio is in the
What's up?
building.
Okay.
We're Motivational Mondays with Leroy, Ethan Above, Mims, special motivational speaker. Make sure you guys
Yes.
check us out Wednesday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I had to, sorry. I mean, it was a video. What was I supposed to do?
Let's go.
All right, let's go. Ready? 1, 2, 3. All right, got last one for good measure. Good job, guys. Sorry, I froze.
Yo,
went
like I
straight
was telling you
into
guys, every
promotion.
single door that you guys see in here, these are friends or fam of mine. Make sure y'all check it out. Doesn't have to be right now, but take a look at it later on in the week or whatnot. I definitely wanna thank every single person that is part of my friendship, man. My meta network, like I like to call.
Oh yeah. This is nice.
Word. How do you?
What you trying to do?
Bro, my boy
So
Fry
look at
really
your
just
wrist.
Oh, here we go.
motivated me on a whole nother
Look at your
level
wrist.
just to see how he the challenges that he's going through, and he still had the
He has a music
trying to get the
studio. Fry
courage.
has a music studio.
Yeah.
that boy had the courage to
Check out
you know what I'm
Fry's
saying,
music
still
studio.
get up there, man. That shit dope. I added you. I just added you. You just gave me a lot of motivation, my boy.
Hey man, if there's no more weed left, I'm
beautiful.
I
sorry, Leroi.
appreciate y'all for coming
I
through.
didn't
What's up?
mean.
Oh, you took it off?
So if there's no more weed left, I apologize.
Now you smoking all of it.
You know what?
Evolution was just
Yo,
handing them.
This guy.
yo.
You good?
Yo,
Fries back.
Drifting bad.
yo.
You look
Awesome
like a
stuff,
hater.
man. I know you're gonna definitely.
I'm a lightweight hater.
You got it,
Almost,
man.
almost
My
as
face.
bad as the hater that banned my bot.
Oh, Lord.
Oh my gosh.
Your bot
That's
got
personal.
banned.
No.
Yeah, for 2 hours.
Nah,
Haters.
nah.
Damn.
Man, at Bunky's
That's
they had Among Us
Look,
going on.
it was playing. You know what? What